Interesting. This needs to be investigated further. Such a wound could not have occurred during the victim's lifetime. There are also clear traces of the deceased ankles being bound in some way. Evans couldn't have tied himself.
Dobra.
It looks like some sort of attack or kidnapping. Oh, and as expected, there's a bite. This wound appears to have been made by a sharp instrument. No head. That's not hard to miss. I need to gather my thoughts together. And look at these photos. I wonder whether the I should the work of animal. This looks very promising. The bite is clearly visible. It should be easy. I hope I put it in right.
Scan away.
Remember whether it was image up or image down. At university. Just some tracing paper, a pencil, and I can check these in the encyclopedia. Now, did I leave them in a drawer? Or maybe a box somewhere? Ugh. I don't remember if I left them out somewhere. Oh, looks like a very, nature.
Okay.
The shape of the jaw appears correct, but not the teeth. It makes sense. This would also can be. Now, it's not these animals we should be afraid of here. I should make some notes and start the autopsy.
Dobra, idziemy. Lupa.
And look, it doesn't look good. Evan. Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Several. It look. Looks like an honey. The result of it.
Sick.
Very strong. There's no end to. I need a tool with dental impression cement. Can I find it here? No. It's probably lying somewhere around in the lab. I hope the cement has next a month
What?
after
No.
the due date.
Masakra jakaś. No, halo? Gra? Co jest grane? Halo? Gro? Halo? O? Gra coś świruje ewidentnie. Coś jeszcze następnym razem będzie, no to szybki restart gry będzie. No tak nie może być. Pilzy. Odlewing.
Now I need to wait. The cat. Well,
Walizka.
rush. Similar. Paint over the area. And put a piece of paper on it. That's very strange. Oh, This is, well, this is quite unexpected. Human teeth. Oh, fuck. I need to tell this to Stephen. Maybe not everything is cataloged correctly. Loading. It'll probably take a while.
Okej.
Loading. It'll probably take a while.
Nie. Też nie. O.
Loading. It'll probably take a while. Finally. The other? No.
Do sekcji zwłok.
I'm going back to the body. I need to make a note before I start the dissection. You can see that the tool used was sharp and smooth.
Dobra, powoli musimy to teraz zrobić, widzę.
It was in the hands of an unskilled person. They look quite shallow. Someone must have inflicted these with some sort of primitive tool.
Okay.
Torn tissue, lacerations, bite wounds. Maybe something chased that alligator away before it bit down properly? This wound turned out to be more troublesome than I thought it would be. For obvious reasons, I record decapitation as the cause of death. I need to verify how deep these wounds go. If they punctured the organs, hemorrhaging could have occurred. Alligators rarely kill humans. The abdominal and genital area are supplied with plenty of blood. If the penis was bitten off while he was alive, Evans could have bled to death. The perfect breeding ground for larvae. Fortunately, time for internal analysis. Finally. First of all, I'll treat it with the scalpel. I'll open we see a lot of fat tissue under the skin. When I remove the ribs, I expect... correct. High levels of internal fat. Organ size above average due to obesity. I move on to the lung analysis. The deceased smoked cigarettes. But more importantly, you can see that the lungs have and this is the culprit. Well, it didn't look like the holes were that deep. Such hemorrhage could have been caused by hitting the chest with a blunt object, or a puncture directly affecting the organ. They appear to be of different depths. The cross-section is uneven. Open pneumothorax should be added to this. The deceased could have experienced extreme hypoxia, and, as a result, obstructive shock.
Dobra.
I wonder what the heart looks like then. The organ is enlarged with very clear, light yellow traces of steatosis on the surface. No signs of heart attack. But similarly to the lungs, there is a trace of puncture with a sharp object. In pneumothorax, the heart rate increases. In the event of such a wound, this would mean bleeding out faster and more. In turn, a sudden increase in the amount of fluid in the pericardial cavity could lead to cardiac tamponade, which is also a life-threatening condition.
No nie gadajcie, zbugowało się? Okej, boys. Okej. Na serio, zbugowało się. Dobra. Chwila przerwy, ludziska. Chwila przerwy i zaraz do was... To już być... No i kurde, co zrobimy? To się zbugowało. Czekamy chwilę, nie? Może się odbuguje. A rasa biała. Mężczyzna. Dawaj mi tego mojego botanika. A, bo tu jest... Ej, tutaj się nie pojawiło. Ciekawe w ogóle.
Evans, however, is remarkably clean, considering this turn of events.
To wcześniej też się nie zbugowało. Kurde. Tylko po prostu nie pokazywało tego.
This all looks quite disturbing. I wonder if I'll find anything on the liver. The organ is fatty and enlarged. Beginnings of cirrhosis are obvious. Well, that's it. This time, nothing to write home about. So, I proceed to carefully remove the stomach. Like most other organs, it is fatty and clearly enlarged, not to mention swollen, partially due to gases, but mainly due to the deceased's lifestyle. I take the organ to the cutting board. The outside is intact. I'm going to check the contents.
Ale tłuszczu to miał sporo, nie? Tłuszczu to miał sporo.
It sounds like there's an unusually large amount of undigested and now rotten stomach contents inside. Blood. Evans had to swallow it due to his injuries, which means he was still alive when he was brutally wounded in the chest.
Dobra. Skrzepy. Nie?
Only the trachea left to be examined. Surprisingly, it's not damaged by the decapitation. I move on to cutting it open.
Yeah! Tniemy tchawicę.
Okay. I carefully cut and blood, just as I expected.
Udusił się.
It's not only swallowed it, but also choked on it. Looks like I can wrap this up. Let me tie this together. After he was abducted, stripped, and tied up, he was dealt several penetrating blows to the chest. Then his head was cut off. Evans was deprived of his genitals, and the body served as an easy meal for the animals. Even though there are a lot of injuries on the body that could cause death, it was the decapitation that ended Evan's life. The animal bites in the limbs occurred after death, so there's no reason to treat these as the cause of death. The damage to the lungs and heart must have led to severe hemorrhaging, so there's no doubt that Evans was choking in bloody convulsions. But it didn't last too long, which I conclude from the small amount of blood in the stomach and trachea. I never thought I'd ever wish someone to have a heart attack, but in this case, it would have been better for him. In some way, it can be said with certainty that James Evans was murdered. Oh well, I need to stitch this poor guy back up.
Dobra, zszywamy.
It's really bothering me. Something's not right here. Because even now, the organs are relatively clean. The skin around wounds also, it's like someone pumped it out. Oh, Christ. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'll leave these questions for the police to solve. And now, I get to head home.
Jej!
Thing. I'll hold off
Freedom!
walks in the forest for the near future. I have a feeling that it won't end with just one body.
We do this for freedom! Siema, ziemuś.
Mr. Ridley, the body is ready to be picked up.
Sure. Good night.
I think it's the first time in a long time that I finished work at a decent hour. Oh, come on. Fuck! When did I get a flat tire? What the fuck?
Co jest?
Oh, come on. This is impossible. What's this supposed to mean? Why is this happening?
4 flaki?
Someone is messing with me again? Oh, fuck. I'm going to Ridley's. Maybe he saw something.
4 flaki? No kurde, i śrubokręt jest, kurde, no sorry, nie? Ja nie wierzę w to, nie?
Ridley, do you know what happened to my car?
What happened to your car?
All the tires are fucking flat.
Well, it happens. Did you have a spare in the trunk?
Spare ones in the trunk. No one carries 4 fucking extra tires in the trunk.
Jesus, Handman, calm down. I'll call you a taxi.
Calm down. That's a bit of an exaggeration, don't you think? Have you seen anyone around here? Someone strange? Suspicious?
Except you? No.
Haha, funny. I don't find all these jokes amusing, you know.
What jokes? Handman, what's wrong with you? It's just tires.
Such things are not a coincidence. What's wrong with me? Things keep happening. Last week, and now this.
Just go wait for the taxi, okay? Fresh air would do you good. Neither you nor I will do anything about it now.
Neither you nor I will do anything? What have you been doing all day? Surely something like this can't just be overlooked.
Maybe you should go outside and cool down. I'm calling a taxi.
Cool town.
Jezus Maria.
I just want to sleep.
Coraz większa siza, nie?
It would be easier just to move in and live here. I doubt I'll get reimbursed for the cab. Huh? Hello?
Też wejść nie możemy. No tutaj ktoś ewidentnie był. Czy to jest Red Pit?
Damn. It's a good evening. Any news for me? About my car? You know, the flat tires?
No.
No, what? Have you checked the cameras? Anything?
Handman, I cut my teeth working in prison. I know what to do.
What?
There were no strangers hanging around. Maybe you ran over something.
What? All the tires?
Quite possibly. You can congratulate yourself.
Christ.
You should try sleeping more. You've been kind of out of it lately.
That's the first bit of sense you've made all evening.
Good. The body is expected to be ready for pickup tonight, along with your lecture.
What? What? No, what?
You still pontificating? Best hurry, don't you?
Fuck me. I don't have the strength for this today. Have I taken my pills today?
Yeah.
Take it, or... one more won't hurt. I need to focus. Fuck. I don't have... Okay, okay. One by one, Jack. Take it easy. Oh, a burning issue indeed. Then I'll move on to the body. Ah, shit. That's a lecture. This
Kamerka.
is making me nervous.
Dokładnie. Dobra. Czyli mamy naszą kamerę. Ili kamery. Tu.
Oh well. This is not the best framing. Hello, everyone. It's the 20 something of November 1991. Jack Hammond is you already know the drill. So the body is on the slab. Let's see what the police uncovered first. So the victim is the exact cause of the fire has not yet been determined. However, it is known that the fire started in the deceased's apartment, where the most damage was reported.
Okay.
Firefighters indicated that it was probably the large quantity of poppers found near the deceased and rapid spread of the fire. The deceased was sitting in an armchair near the TV. Pieces of pornographic material, an ashtray, melted video cassettes, and several bottles of so-called poppers were found in the vicinity. It's difficult to assess whether any escape attempts were made. The body was not found until the next morning. The tenant was naked, charred, and with severe burns. The owner of the apartment asked about the deceased. He was surprised anyone even lived there. Well, that's our basic question. Whether the death occurred as a result of fire, or whether he was dead before it.
Okay.
As you can see, the body is in quite an unusual pose. For the purpose of photographic documentation, we'll leave it like that for now.
Taki związany, nie?
This position is called the pugilistic attitude. This is due to the influence of high temperature on the muscles. The fire reaches the skin first, then the soft tissue, until the skeletal muscles are exposed. Coagulation occurs in exposed muscles due to their fibers shrinking. The extensors yield to the force of the flexors. The muscles contract and contract until the limbs become flexy and deformed. The upper ones are characterized by a triple bend, similar to a boxer holding his hands in front of him.
Dobra.
Just 10 minutes will do it. 10 minutes for the muscles and tendons to contract like a steak on the grill. In the end, we're all just walking meat.
Tak jest. Jesteśmy tylko mięsem.
The deceased must now be straightened out, and we need to get rid of these bindings. He looks to have been tied up in a rather unusual. The deceased's neck and feet were most like, which explains why, despite the severe burns, the deceased's limbs are not all that twisted. That's better. It's easier to straighten him now. Without taking out the magnifying glass, we already know that the deceased's skin is heavily charred and cracked.
Dokładnie.
As for the other details, there are crow's feet visible near the eyes. Upper lip reveals front teeth. One of the incisors is broken. There's soot in the nostrils. The rope around the neck wasn't very tight. I don't see it leaving a mark on the skin. You can clearly see that this is primarily the front of the deceased that was exposed to fire.
No halo. Lupa, działaj. No.
Marks around the wrists are deep and clearly visible. Looks as if a large flap of skin had detached from the calf. The rope at the man's ankles was tied much tighter and more precisely than the one around his wrists. The victim sat in the chair the whole time, hence his back being in much better condition than this extremely burned area. All in all, quite a lot can be deduced from this external examination. Traces fail to indicate that the deceased severe burns. The length of the rope the burns reached appears to be loosely tied. However, this is the result of the corpse drying out. The wound shows that the rope had deeply imprinted itself in the tissue. The eye-clenching soot in the tissue of the mouth was heavily burned as well. The teeth, however, makes me wonder. The conclusions are quite clear. Wounds on the wrists and ankles indicate that the deceased could have been struggling in pain. Perhaps the deceased lost a tooth, attempting to... It looks like the deceased was a fan of burns to the genitals and groin are an additional concussive factor. This is due to the high vascularity, and in this case, I don't assume that it may seem incidental, but we need to check the damage inhaling all that smoke. The extent of the thermal... The mixture of fear, sexual arousal, and drugs could have caused a heart attack. I will assess the extent of possible poisoning and burning in a moment. First, I'll try to establish the victim's identity.
Możliwe, że wypadek teraz to był. Tak coś czuję.
Due to the amount of charring, we are unable to collect the victim's fingerprints. Visual identification is also out of the question. You can probably guess what options we are left with.